serving as honorary co-captain, please welcome Steelers broadcaster Myron Cope. Please direct your attention to the Jumbotron as the founder of the Terrible Towel, Myron Cope, kicks off the world's largest Terrible Towel twirl.
Wow, how about this for a stocking stuffer? A book all about the life of legendary Steelers color commentator Myron Cope.
It's called Behind the Yoy, and it was written by someone very near and dear to Myron, his daughter Elizabeth, along with co-author Dan Joseph. They both join us here today.
So amazing. And we have our terrible tales, too. We're ready.
Yeah.
We are ready for this.
We're ready.
Nobody gave me.
I'll let you borrow it.
We can share. So how did this book get started?
Well, Dan and I hooked up. One of my sorority sisters became friends with his wife, and their kids hung out together, and he's written a couple sports books, and I guess my friend Mary was telling him, you know, I know Elizabeth and her dad Myron Cope, and
Yeah.
And so
yeah, one thing led to the other.
And when I heard she had saved all of her dad's tapes and papers and letters and things like that, I had to do it. It was just that it was a real experience to go back into these boxes, and you see like the original master tape of Super Bowl IX, for example. You know, the reel-to-reel audio and all these talk shows and Steeler games and things like that. It was
amazing.
That's
fascinating.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So what was the process like for you to like relive some of these moments that your dad experienced? I'm sure you experienced many of them yourself too.
Yeah, it was really something. All, like Dan talked about, all the old audio and different things that my dad had saved were just sitting in boxes in the basement collecting dust. And, you know, lots of times people would like encourage me to like declutter my basement and like get rid of stuff. There's no way I could do that.
Thank goodness you didn't.
My dad's life, and it's good to be able to like have it be put to use and things that other people can enjoy. Yeah. And just, you know, it's nostalgic though too. Like I love it, but you know, it's I don't know. Sad isn't the right word, but maybe you know, sort of. I can't think of a word.
It's a mixed feeling because you're bringing back old memories, but in a way, this is like bringing him back to life almost.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's like a different life. I mean, my life was so different then as to how it is now. Like some people have such like. It's like I've lived 2 lifetimes or something.
Is there something that you feel like people didn't know about your dad that you want them to know?
Well, there was one thing that I didn't put in the book that I wish I had, was that every Valentine's Day, as long as I could remember, my dad always got me a dozen red roses on Valentine's Day. And like even when I was in college, like sometimes, you know, a lot of times I wouldn't have a boyfriend or wouldn't be dating somebody, so he would always do that. And sometimes also a box of chocolates, like the long red roses. And at the time, I didn't appreciate it. I was like, oh, my dad. Like I got something from my father, not from like a guy. But now it's like I would give anything
to get those roses
from him. Yeah.
Dan, talk about the process. I mean, a lot of research goes into stuff like this. If you're listening to boxes and boxes of old tapes, it has to be exciting, but also a lot of work, too.
Oh, it's a lot of work. I mean, we spent more than 2 years writing this, but it really was a labor of love. You get to go into the boxes and you see, like, the original Terrible Towel contracts and royalty reports from 1979, and you can see how quickly it took off. And then and what's funny is it declined when the Steelers stopped winning Super Bowls in the early 80s. Suddenly the sales plunged, and for a decade or so it wasn't really much of a thing. And then when Bill Cowher came in the 90s and the Steelers took off again, suddenly the towel sales took off again, and that's when it really became sort of permanent, part of Steeler lore, Steeler culture.
That's wonderful.
When you were working on this, did you hear stories about your dad or about Myron that you'd never heard before that people came to you with?
I'll tell you what, there were things that I had known.
Probably him.
Yeah, to you it was all
I've
familiar.
heard everything.
I didn't,
firsthand.
I mean, Myron, he could get away with things that other people couldn't. Yeah, when his TV and radio station banned smoking, he kept right on smoking because
he didn't think the rules applied to him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you both for coming on today, for sharing a little bit about the book and about your life with your dad, and It's just been really great to have you here.
And if you'd like to gift someone with Behind the Yoy this holiday season, or heck, even buy a copy for yourself, we're going to have that information for you on our website.
And we didn't get to talk about it, but you got to check out their YouTube page too. We'll have a link for that.
Yes.